G'day guys, MFWest here, and today I'm giving you my Unholy DK 7.2.5 PvP guide. Now, I seriously have not made a PvP guide since the start of the expansion. Honestly, because I didn't think that much had changed, but in this guide I want to cover a few more things that I didn't cover in that guide, like I learned a few things from that guide. Yeah, and just generally more info, but better info. That's the most important thing. Now, one thing I will say is that a lot of the topics that I need to cover in this video, I've already done in the last week or two. That's going to be Unholy DK's versatility, so like how versatile they are, the different play styles that you can play Unholy with. I have a video on that. I'll put it all in the description, guys. You should most definitely watch these. I've got macro and keybinding guide for Unholy, like my keybindings and my macros that I highly recommend for PvP. And the most recent one would be how to control your pet, and that is very important for PvP. The video basically covers everything you need to know about your pet and the gargoyle for arena and BGs and everything. Okay guys, so yeah. So most of you maybe are watching this and you deciding whether or not to pick Unholy for PvP now, or as a class in general. I'm playing Unholy for around 4 years, and honestly it's my favorite class in the game. Why? Because of how versatile it is. You can play, there's so many different play styles you guys can do. You can play up close and personal with melee, you can play at ranged and kite the enemy, and that is just awesome. And not only does Unholy have that basically capabilities, but it has amazing damage in every situation and amazing control. I love classes that have damage and control because that makes you a force to be reckoned with, guys. So the strength of Unholy is quite a lot amounts of CC and interrupts, which is very handy in arena. Decent defensive cooldowns. Decent mean not the best, but it's okay. Definitely not one of the strongest classes defensively, but it's up there. It's okay. Also strength, strong burst damage, and extremely strong consistent damage. I think one of the best classes in the game in terms of how consistent the damage is that Unholy can wrap out. That combined with Necrotic Strike is seriously disgusting, and a lot of healers are actually scared to shit of Unholy DKs, and for a good reason, to be honest. Weaknesses can be difficult to pick up. Does require like a fair amount of understanding of the class and awareness. You are not just one player, you have your pet to take care of, and the pet, if used correctly, can make you, like there's Unholy players here, right, who don't use their pet properly, and there's Unholy players up here who are using their pet correctly and really abusing it for basically. So you do have to understand how to use your pet. So I really recommend watching that video I made about pet management, and you'll completely understand that topic. Weaknesses, kiting. We can get kited quite hard. If you don't use your death grip effectively, you will get kited. What else, guys? Defensives. I mean, we haven't got that much, and one of our defensives is solely reliant on our pet. So if the enemy is smart and understands how Unholy works, they will target that pet and kill it, and they are missing an entire defensive corpse shield. So yeah, that really sucks, unfortunately, but that's just how it is. You have to make sure you use your defensives, you know, correctly. So that's pretty much Unholy strength and weaknesses, guys. I'm going to get into our talents now. Let's go. Alright guys, talents. Now I'm not going to go too in depth with talents because nothing much has changed from my last video. It is all still the same. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go through this right now. First row, Bursting Swords is still the #1 single target damage talent. It's very strong cleave and single target damage, and I highly recommend it. Ebon Fever only preserved for really rot comps. So playing with an Affliction Warlock or a Feral Druid, Shadow Cleave or Ebola Cleave, that is great for spreading pressure, but otherwise, no. Blighted Rune Weapon lets us basically choose when we want wounds to be on a target, so it's great for swapping targets and then bursting that target down, or even just creating wounds on a target in order for the swap. It's just perfect, and it's on a small 1-minute cooldown. Next, Clawing Shadows. Honestly, this ability is sick. It's my favorite ability in the Holy Talent tree because it stops us from being kited. We no longer have to be kited because we can minimize that gap by staying at a 30-yard range, guys. You can put wounds on the enemy target and then kite them, and then just pop the wounds as you're kiting them around. You can use your chains of ice, you can pet stun them, pet immobilize them. This ability is great. We no longer can be kited by mage if we have wounds up on the mage. So honestly, guys, in 2v2, 3v3, BGs, it's perfect. Only reason I would not take this is if you're playing against a melee cleave and you're not really going to be getting kited, you're worth picking up Castigator or Unholy Frenzy. It's up to you, that's personal preference. If they're really constantly on top of each other, Castigator will be fun with D&D. Next, I like Asphyxiate because it gives us a guaranteed form of CC. It's a 5-second stun on a 45-second cooldown. Without Asphyxiate, pet stun with it and being empowered is only 2-second stun on a 45-second cooldown. So you've got Asphyxiate now and that pet stun. So I mean, the Sludge Belcher offers an extra grip, but in arena, I honestly go with Asphyxiate. For BG, Sludge Belcher can be very fun because 2 grips is sick, so up to you guys. Next, Corpse Shield, very, very strong. It's basically like a 600-700k shield on a 1-minute cooldown, depending on how well you optimize it. Again, you definitely have to watch my PvP macro guide for Unholy. It's all in the description. That covers how to most effectively use this ability with a macro. Spell Leader against Spell Cleaves can be very strong, highly recommended. But yeah, only against Spell Cleaves because of how fat it makes your AMS. Next row, Infected Claws, it's so good for creating pressure in 2v2 scenario. The Resto Druid, you send your pet off to the Resto Druid to gain stacks on him while you smash the Warrior's head in, and you make a swap and the Druid already has like 4 wounds on him, which makes your swap so much better. You can just sorry per Apocalypse him, then him and the Warrior are at a lowish percent HP. You just created so much pressure, and yeah, you just created so much pressure and they have to pop defensive cooldowns. So this is great for multitasking. It's great because when you pop Dark Transformation, your pet cleaves and puts wounds on all the targets. That's what this ability does. It makes your pet cleave wounds on the target. So really, really strong, guys. Highly recommend it. Necrosis used to be good, but now they've made Deathclaw use so much more runic power. You just can't benefit from the amount of clawing shadows that are buffed, so unfortunately no. Shadow Infusion is good because it can buff your pet quite significantly, and your pet will be in Dark Transformation a lot more, but Infected Claws is too good. Last row, Dark Arbiter, guys. When you get around above 1.8k rating, people are going to realize that it's a major cooldown and they're going to kite it. You can Loz Dark Arbiter, you can kill Dark Arbiter, you can CC Dark Arbiter. Like, as you can see, it's very easy to counter, so wouldn't recommend it, guys. Defile, yeah, you could try it against melee cleaves, but sorry, but guys, 45-second cooldown ability gives you 21% haste. That just buffs the amount of times that amount of haste that we can use to put more necrotic strikes on. We can apply more dots. There's so much we can do with haste in arena, and not many classes can get that much haste. Okay. Right, guys, honor talents. If you're Orc, Relentless is amazing. I really highly recommend picking that. Otherwise, Gladiator's Medallion for more, like, I guess, difficult forms of CC to deal with, like Cyclone and whatnot. Next, honestly, stick with Relentless if you're Orc. Otherwise, Gladiator's Medallion. Adaption, no. Next, you're playing against 2 melees, Sparring. You're playing against Spell Cleaves, Reinforced Armor. Do not look at hardiness, please. Next row, Cadaverous Pallor. It's good against, if you're playing in 2v2 skirms or whatnot, you're playing against 2 melee DPS, pick it up. But I do extremely like Dark Simulacrum. Basically, you put this on the enemy target, and whatever spell he uses in the next 12 seconds, you will steal. Bop, Ice Block, Pally Bubble, Fear, Cyclone. It just gives Unholy a second form of CC. We can just steal a freaking Fear and fear the healer off and then kill the enemy DPS. Like, it's just amazing. And this requires a lot of practice and just discipline, like knowing when and understanding, like knowing when the other team is going to, when the enemy healer is going to come in and fear bomb. You're tracking their cooldowns, you know their movements. This ability can make you such a deadly player. 100%. Playing against a spell cleave, anti-magic zone reduces magical damage by 60%. Sorry, spell damage. That is crazy. Very good against spell cleaves, guys. Highly recommend. Decomposing Aura, Heartstop Aura, or Necrotic Aura. My favorite is Necrotic Aura, especially if you're playing with a spellcaster, because that will buff their magical damage by 8%. That is really strong. You're indirectly buffing or directly buffing your teammate. Heartstop Aura is good if you're constantly within range of the targets that you want the cooldowns to be reduced by. Then you got Decomposing Aura. It's okay. It can make a healer's life very difficult, but like as I said again, yeah, it's basically up to personal preference. I do like Necrotic Aura when I'm playing with a spellcaster though. Crypt Fever got buffs and nerfs before the patch went live. I do think it's still a very strong ability. If you have wounds on all 3 targets in 3v3, it's going to be ticking, and now it ticks much more. It ticks at 124,000. That scales with our mastery in arena, so it can be hitting quite hard. It can crit. So if you want to basically do a lot of spread pressure with Ebon Fever, and talents like that, this can help. It's very, very good at doing AoE damage, and surprisingly, all the time at the end of my arenas or battlegrounds, it's up there in my top damage meters, so it's quite reliable. These 2 talents, very, very underwhelming, guys. So basically, Crypt Fever is your main go there. Last row, Unholy Mutation. It's good for duels, keeps the person in place, does a little bit of damage, but mostly slows them by 30%. Okay. Reanimation. Holy shit. Screw yourself. Necrotic Strike, guys, this is the ability that makes Unholy unholy. It's amazing. It basically creates a little bubble where it absorbs the enemy heals. So this is your master of pressure. This is how you create pressure as an Unholy player. When the enemy target is getting low, use your haste buff from Story Ripper to apply 3 to 4 Necrotic Strike stacks, CC the enemy healer, which puts him even further behind in bursting the basically the necrotic bubble to try and get in there. And it does decent damage as well, but it just creates so much pressure, and knowing how to use this will make you a very, very good player. You can put multiple Necrotic Strike stacks on different players. It's just ultimate ability, guys. You need to unlock this as soon as possible. Get to level 45. So guys, those are the talents. Didn't want to go too in depth about it, but yeah. Now let's get into the PvP abilities and rotation. How to use your abilities in a PvP scenario. Okay guys, the rotation. Now obviously in PvP there is no rotation, there is a priority system, and our system is basically based on applying wounds to the target and bursting them via Clawing, Shadows, or Scourge Strike. So we apply Festering Wounds by using Festering Strike, and you want to be keeping your Outbreak up all the time. Now a lot of people ask me, how do we burst? Our burst mainly comes from our Soul Reaper Apocalypse combination. When there are 4 wounds on the target, you Apocalypse, and that does a lot of damage, followed by a spell called Shambling Horror, where this little zombie guy walks up to the target and explodes. Those Shambling Horrors are actually a significant amount of our burst DPS, and no one even notices them. Good players will actually use movement speed abilities to get away from them when they explode. That combined, once we get that 21 haste buff, our damage doesn't stop, it ramps. Like Unholy is all about ramping up. Once we get that haste buff, our damage ramps up, and you use your ability called Scourge Strike, which basically applies more wounds to the target for you to keep bursting the wounds. If they gain distance away from you, Clawing Shadows, 30-yard range, you're going to keep popping those wounds. And I must tell you, Gargoyle is essential for doing a lot of damage, guys. It does so much consistent damage, but one thing you have to know, which I go over in my pet guide, is that it can be lost. If your healer starts to do laps around a pillar, it will not be able to actually cast. So you want to use your Gargoyle when he's out in the open, where he's not going to Loz. Okay, so let me just show you an example of what the rotation is like. Your Dark Transformation, when you use Dark Transformation as well, your pet is going to get extremely buffed, but this is kind of what the rotation looks like. Okay, so this is the target, it's coming up to me, Outbreak, Gargoyle, Festering Strike, sorry for Apocalypse. You can even transform your Ghoul after this. Now look at how much damage I've done already, 9.34 million. Obviously I'm in PvE gear, but I'm going to show you guys an example of this rotation in an arena setting. But look, the wounds are consistent because of Blighted Rune Weapon. I'm not running out of wounds. Make sure that you're using Sudden Doom proc on cooldown, and it is just nuts, guys. I honestly, in some arenas, I've just in 2v2s, just like skirms and stuff, I've been seeing like 800k DPS. It is absurd, and there is a lot of damage in the opening rotation of Unholy. But what everyone doesn't realize is how much it ramps up after Sorrypa. You actually get Sorrypa. Then you're applying stuns, CCs, interrupts. We have 3 interrupts. Oh guys, it's disgusting, and I highly recommend you have to go watch how to use your pet, because that is essential in locking down a target and making sure that the healer doesn't get off any spells. But for now, let's go check out how this rotation works out in Arena. And here we are guys. Unfortunately it's 1v2, but this is the perfect situation to explain how the Unholy rotation and abilities and priority system works. So the warrior comes out to 1v1 me, the mage doesn't attack me. So alright, I'm going to Outbreak and slow it down for you guys. Look at the top left hand corner. Outbreak, Pop Blood, Rune Weapon, Gargoyle. Okay, that's all out, my cooldowns. And then Festering Strike will get you to 4 wounds pretty much. And then you want to Sorrow Apocalypse. Now, this combination is basically a burst opener. It hurts so much. And they need to pop a defensive. So the warrior commanding shouts and then he's going to jump away. Okay, so I'm cool with that. I popped down AMZ because I thought the mage was going to open on me, but he doesn't. So I'm going to follow him over that way with Wraith Walk. And then I'm going to jump on the mage eventually, but this is a good showcase of how strong Unholy is, guys. Okay, so this warrior really doesn't want to fight me, jumps away again, so I'm on the mage here. He has Outbreak and a wound on him, and now I'm going to chain him, and now the warrior charges back on me. I stun the mage with Asphyxiate, and then I AMS straight away because he combusted me, and it's really hurting. So I finish off the warrior, I have my Empowered Death Strike, and I pull the mage in to use my Empowered Death Strike on him. You need to make sure that you get that off. And then I Corpse Shield. So this Corpse Shield pretty much just secured like 30% of my HP, which is great. Now, in a critical situation like this, you want to be using all your runic power and pulling it into Death Strike. Death Core is not beneficial to you right here because you want to be surviving, and every Death Strike is 10% of your HP added back onto your HP pool. Pops down that. Now, right now the duel is in my favor, and I'm on the offensive for the rest of the duel. Since I actually turned on him, he hasn't even casted once, basically, all instant casts. You should not let a mage cast. Unholy Death Knights destroy mages, guys. We can stun their cast, we can interrupt them, we can grip them. Look here, I stun that cast, and then he's going to get out of it with a Dragon Breath, and he gets away. Unfortunately, I cannot stop it with my pet immobilization, but the duel's over, and I pull that, and I still have Mind Freeze up, and it's over. So, GG. This clip's going to show you guys how disgusting our burst is. Watch this. So this rogue opens up on me. It's 1v1 now. Both our partners are dead. Okay, I love doing this. I pet stun him, right? And then he trinkets it. Now, if a rogue does this, you asphyxiate Sorrow Apocalypse. Look at this. Boom. Now, a lot of the time, like I said, a Shambling Horror will also explode. And now the Shambling Horror goes off there. And that's like 3 seconds. He died in 3 seconds. All because he trinketed the pet stun. So that's a great move you can do. Again, watch this other rogue just completely mess up. Opens on me. I trinket the opener. Outbreak. I'm going to pet stun him. Transform my pet. Gargoyle. So there goes the pet stun. And he trinkets it. Now I'm going to asphyxiate. And he's in asphyxiate. Sorry for Apocalypse. He literally, if that was played normal time, he died in like 4 seconds. So I pull the warrior in and let's go. So same thing with the warrior. When a warrior pops retaliation, you want to be spamming death cores into them because your clawing shadows will get blocked, unfortunately. But yeah, and look at that. You can just kite away. Very, very easy. Nothing difficult about that at all. Now, when your pets are on the enemy player and you've got all your dots are out, you can go Loz and dodge him. It's not hard at all. It's very easy. Okay, guys, this is the 3v3. We're playing against Unholy DK Frost Mage and Holy Priest. I love playing this as well. Sorry, it's a Frost DK, not for Unholy. And now I just want to show you how well you can lock down healers and use Necrotic Strike beneficially. Okay, so we're on the Priest here, and he actually pops Guardian Angel on himself. So if I kill him right now, his health's going to shoot back up to like 70%. So I don't kill him, I lock that heal to minimize the healing done on him, and now it's about to fall off. So I'm going to grip that heal, asphyxiate him, and then apply at top left hand corner about 3 Necrotic Strikes. And at this point with my Gargoyle on him as well, I just soloed the Holy Priest. It's that simple. When a healer is in CC, if you apply Necrotic Strike, they will not recover because obviously they're in CC and they cannot heal it. Again, Mistweaver Monk, look how much of a hard time us Unholy can give healers. He rolls away when I pull him in, then he teleports. So I switch onto the Hunter here and look at this Chaos Bolt. It's fat. So right now this guy had to bubble that Hunter, and now I go back on the Monk because I know I can keep applying pressure. I'm not even using Necrotic Strike in this arena, guys. I think I forgot to put on my bars or anything, but yeah, stun him there, and right now this Monk is about to go down. I don't know why he came out here, all because he used his bubble on the Hunter, who could have the turns, to be honest, but you can control even Mistweavers, but Mistweavers are one of the hardest heals to take care of, guys. Alright guys, so that pretty much sums up live examples of how Unholy can act in PvP and Arena. I have many other videos showcasing how to play Unholy in Arena and Battlegrounds. That is just a small glimpse of it because I cannot go into 30-minute clips and videos, but I hope that helped you out on your understanding of how Unholy worked. So let's get to the next part of the video. Alright guys, so now that's out of the way. Next is defensive cooldowns. What are defensive cooldowns and how do we most efficiently use them? Alright, so we basically have around 3 main defensive cooldowns if you choose to take Corpse Shield, which I highly recommend. The main one being Anti-Magic Shield, that's on a 1 minute cooldown, guys, and all that does is it absorbs a certain amount of harmful magical damage, which is 1.9 million, but you can get that talent to buff the amount that it eats, 20% larger, so that allows you to eat more. It's on a quite a short cooldown, and against specific mage comps it will be the key to you actually winning the arena. For example, if you're trying to go for a kill and you see that both the healer and the other DPS are trying to CC you, and you have no way to interrupt them because they're both on cooldown, AMS will make you immune to all magic damage and stop you from getting CC'd. It's a very strong ability against spellcasters, and it can honestly, decide arenas. You can use it offensively, like I told you, to try and get a kill and stop being CC'd, or you can play defensively. Say your healers in a Cyclone or a Fear, and both the Warlock and the Frost Mage are barreling down on you, and you're far away from Loz. AMS is a great option there, and you want to try to look to interrupt. So again, you can play it offensively and defensively. Same goes for IBF. It's our main way of mitigating and reducing damage against physical damage. So as you can see, granting immunity to stun effects, you are immune to stun effects, and reducing all damage you take by 26%. So it's not just, it includes physical damage, but yeah, so overall, all damage, 26% for 8 seconds. Very strong against melee comps. Again, on a 3-minute cooldown though, we don't get it very often, so you got to be careful about how you use this ability. Again, you can play offensively if you're playing against a melee cleave, and you know that they both have their stuns up. Say you're playing against an Arms Warrior and a Havoc Demon Hunter. They both have their stuns up. You want to kill the healer, and you pop IBF offensively to try and push that kill so they can't CC you. Defensively, healer is getting smashed, you're getting cleaved. IBF will reduce the damage by 26%. Not an amazing defensive cooldown for the small amount of time that it has, but what can we do, guys? And then of course Corpse Shield. With that macro, I will put it in the description, but as I keep saying in this guide, go watch the video on my macros. 1 minute cooldown. For the next 10 seconds, 90% of all the damage that your pet takes gets redirected to you, and you want to make sure that your pet is in his defensive huddle, so he's not getting absolutely destroyed. 99% of the time your pet will die. I will not survive this because it is a lot of damage, but you're looking at around a 500-600k absorb shield, which is very nice on a 1 minute cooldown. So when you use this ability, when you use Corpse Shield, make sure your pet's on full HP, and you can make use of the dismiss macro that I made, and you want to make sure your pet's on full HP so you get the most out of that shield, guys. Okay, so those are basically our 3 main defensive cooldowns. We don't have any more, any less. So that's what you got to work with, guys. I mean, anti-magic zone can count, as I told you guys in the talent section. It's very good against spell cleaves, but that is basically it. Alright guys, so let's go on to the next topic, which is comps for 2v2 and 3v3 arena. What are the best heals to rock with in 2v2, and what are the best comps for Unholy? arena comps, guys. So Unholy obviously isn't a tier 1 class and spec, sorry, but it definitely has its place and its strengths and weaknesses. Now, one of the best comps that has been Unholy has played so well with is TSG, which is with a warrior, and right now arms warriors are really strong, and that makes Unholy it's one of the best comps for Unholy right now. Why? Basically, charge, they have shockwave, they have stormbolt, they have grip, they have multiple amounts of interrupts. They can just train down healers, they can switch off a target very easily, they can just switch onto a healer with death grip and then obviously straight away asphyxiate him into pet stuns. And their bursts, I mean, both classes have amazing bursts. Necrotic strike makes it difficult for the healer to heal up any of its allies, so in 3v3 I reckon TSG is one of the stronger comps. Windwalker monks, Walking Dead, unfortunately Windwalkers took a little bit of a nerf after the changes they got, but I still think Walking Dead is up there in one of my favorite comps to run. Most definitely because of its global amount of stuns, the amount of damage it can output. The monk has amazing mobility, which we don't, which allows them to help us catch up with targets. Grip into Fist of Fury, into leg sweeps is very strong as well, and it works kind of the same way that TSG works. Next, a comp that I really enjoyed playing was, well, I named it Heroic Cleave. I think also got the name Heroic Cleave. Can't remember. I started calling it Heroic Cleave anyway. You play with the Havoc Demon Hunter. So the problem with this comp is it's got amazing damage, amazing AoE damage, and disgusting swap potential, but it lacks in the CC department. So you need to pick up a healer that has a lot of CC, such as a Resto Druid, or what else do we like running? Some good Holy Priest now. It's so weird that Holy Priest is now #1 instead of Disc, but yeah, Holy Priest. So yeah, in terms of 2v2 and what healers you want to be running with that, I recommend for 2v2, it comes down to personal preference. I've always played with the Resto Druid because I like their playstyle. I like Cyclone. I think they can survive for a very long amount of time, which is very essential. If an arena, 2v2 arena gets down to like, you know, where the healing reduced is like very high, Unholy does so well because of the Necrotic Strike, and we can peel very well. Healers that can't actually fend for themselves very well will tend to struggle, but we have very, very good peel potential. A good Resto Shaman also, so it's between, for me it's between Resto Druid and a Resto Shaman. You can try Mistweaver as well. They haven't got as much CC as a Resto Druid, but they're very versatile. Decent damage as well. Holy Paladin as well. Got Bob, which can make you offensively, you know, go on offensive, and they are really fun to play with because the amount of damage Holy Paladins can do. Holy shit, it's disgusting. So yeah, guys, that's want to give you an idea of the different kind of healers and comps that you can play with. Sorry, for 3v3 I forgot. Casters. What casters do you want to pick? If anything, I would pick an Affliction Warlock, and you go for a kind of rock comp where you work towards getting into that like a high amount of I forget the name of it right now. It doesn't come to my head. That thing which reduces the amount of healing over time for every minute you're in the arena. When that starts to stack, Affliction Warlock and Unholy DKX is disgusting. It's an unhealable amount of damage that you can do, and it really isn't fun to play against. So yeah, that's the kind of comps. It's not as strong as TSG and Walking Dead, but it's definitely there. And if that's your playstyle, by all means, you can play it. So I'm going to wrap up this video, so let's get down to that. And that is going to wrap up the video, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me down below in the comments, and I'll answer it as soon as possible. For the rest of the information for this video, they are actually separate videos that I posted in the last week. You can actually see them right here. I really recommend you have to go watch this pet control guide. You need to watch the macro and keybinding guide, and honestly the 1v1 will help you personally out as well. And honestly, the versatility one here, that will give you a very, very good understanding of how to play Unholy. And I completely recommend you go do that right now after you've finished watching this video. And I hope for those of you that it's their first time watching or thinking about playing Unholy, that I've actually helped you pick Unholy. Welcome to the Unholy army. And yeah, guys, if you want to watch me on Twitch, go follow me right now, twitch.tv/MFWest. and you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter at MFWest WoW. So guys, that's going to be the end of the video. I hope I helped you guys out. Again, ask me anything you want on social media or anything, and have an awesome day guys. MFWest out. Peace.